Once again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Our disclaimer that this call is being recorded, and if you don't want to be recorded or you don't want to, you're not comfortable with it, you may want to drop off now. And also, this call is joined by our Microsoft team members as well as members from our customers and partners. With that, I hope everyone is doing great. We have an excellent topic. It's a preview service that's just being launched, Microsoft DevBox. Excuse me. Um, Quick agenda. We're gonna go over what is the problem or the problem areas that are being addressed by this service. Then go with the service itself, demo. Most of the time, hopefully, will be in the demo. I have some slides just for references as usual. So please feel free to open up your mic and ask questions or post them in the chat window. So first of all, why we need this service, a Microsoft DevBox, which is a development box machine in the cloud. I'm sure, I think every one of us has come across these challenges, one or more of these challenges in the past. I know when I took on a new role, it uh, took me a few days to start because my PC hasn't arrived yet, you know. Um, and I'm sure when you have teams which are spread across all over the globe, it becomes a challenge. I mean, like how to make sure that they're using the same spec of hardware that you are using. Okay. And let's flip this around. Not every team needs same set of hardware. Maybe a team that is using working on a product may need a lot of memory, a lot of CPU horsepower. On the other hand, another team may not be using requiring that. So, giving everybody the fastest and the best machine kind of maybe wasting money. And on the other hand, how about um, the state of the software? So let's say that you want everyone to use this app, work on an application that is using Node.js uh, latest release. What is meant by latest release? Which patch? Which version? You know, all of that. So how you maintain the kind of standardize all these software across these development team and how you keep them up to date. I know. I mean, um, one option is when you install, give them the machine, have that there. But let's say that they are working on different projects and how you update it. So all of these things kind of brings um, challenges that are related to the physical, having a physical machine. So that's where Microsoft DevBox comes into picture or address this issue. It is your workstation in the cloud, your development workstation in the cloud. And it not just creates that you will see as we go through the deck and the demo, it creates a very kind of a nice marriage of IT and dev teams to have a self-service workstation which is properly governed. Okay, so it's not like somebody just spin up a machine in Azure and start developing their own stuff. You have the right guardrails around it so that it can be governed by the IT policies of yours or your customers' organization. Okay. Um, and one other thing is, since it's a virtual machine running in Azure, you can access it from anywhere. Your PC, your Mac, your iPad. So, and of course, it's targeted towards a um, development environment where you're running a Windows PC. And of course, with that, you can install anything on it, or your IT team can provision any workload on it. Okay. And these are some of the things that kind of it provides to, sorry, if you don't mind, can you please mute your phone? Um, or if you're asking a question, please feel free to ask. Some of the scenarios that is trying to address is like, let's say that you want to do a POC, or you are working on a project where you're not sure like what type of spec that you will be needing from the in terms of hardware. You can start with that, see what feels right, and then probably go with the physical machine option. Or you have developers who are working on different projects, and there are different software requirements which are conflicting. And I'm sure if you are a developer, I'm sure you have come across this issue where you install something and it's not compatible with what you already have, you know. And I'm sure uh, then you end up kind of removing the one, installing the other, and then vice versa, things like that. Here, no issue. You can have multiple dev boxes, one with um, the one of the or one type of software, another one with a second type of software, no conflict. You can work on both the projects. Okay. And for the in terms of collaboration, think of it that you have different teams that are spread across the globe. And as you know, in regions of the world where the bandwidth is not as good as we have in US, or so what happens then? I mean, those developers, I mean, they have issues, kind of, you know, collaborating and all. DevBox can resolve that because that box is running directly in the cloud. There is no bandwidth issues. Okay. Um, so that's some of the uh, things that or areas that it's trying to address and bring uh, helps with these scenarios. So with that, any questions? And as I said in the beginning, it's kind of a brings both the IT teams and dev teams together. And here are the roles. So there are three key roles that when you are working with Microsoft DevBox that comes into picture. The first one is Dev Infra Admin. Mostly they're going to be from your IT teams. Okay. These are the people who are going to be provisioning dev centers. Basically, these are shells where you that you create. It's think of it, a dev center may be for a kind of a group in the organization. Like you have finance, you have HR. So HR may have their own dev center. Finance for their application may have their own dev center. So they will create that. They will create projects underneath, and the projects are basically representing applications. Okay, larger application which may have under a different sub application underneath. Then comes the project admins. Oh, sorry. The dev infra admins, they also set up network connectivity, like how these dev boxes will connect to a network. Because no matter what you do, in the end, you need connectivity. I mean, the development doesn't happen in a vacuum. I mean, these you have to connect to a network, either to access on-prem resources or collaborate or things like that, or even access resources that are in Azure. Maybe those are Kubernetes services that are running in AKS inside a VNet, things like that. So they will set up that network connectivity as well. And I think that's a big key, uh, very powerful feature of Microsoft DevBox. And we'll look at the demo in a second. Then you have the project admins. These are, think of it, dev leads who are um, um, uh, assigned these projects, and they are creating dev pools or DevBox pools in um, these projects. And these are nothing but set of dev boxes that are using a certain image. Okay, so first of all, dev infra admins, they set up these image definition networks, dev centers, and projects, and then project admins, they are setting up dev pools, and then come the dev box user. They will log into the DevBox portal, and from there they will see which machine they have access to, and they will start using those DevBoxes. Okay, so very simple. And they will be the developers. The third piece, there will be the actual developers doing the development. Okay. So with that, let's quickly jump into the demo piece. Okay, so how you start? First of all, think of it that I am a um, dev infra admin, so I will start with a dev center. I will go in and I will create a dev center. Okay, and here the dev center I have created already one. And if you look at it, there is nothing much to it. You know, its name, very boilerplate. You can give any name to it. Once you're done, it's created. We are good. I already have one, so just to save time, I want to show you what is in it. Uh, One thing that is very important, if you want to use shared image galleries, you want to make sure you assign a user assigned identity to it. Okay. I have a system assigned identity, and you want to have a user assigned identity if you want to use Azure Compute Galleries. Okay. With that, that's one piece. The second piece that you need is the network connectivity. And I think you will always need that because you need to connect to some network. So let's say there is a VNet that is connected to your on-prem. That's how you're going to access on-prem resources and services while you are developing this application, because you're most of the time applications are not developed in a vacuum. Okay, so they need connectivity to resources, and that's how you're going to do it. So that's where the second piece is network connections. Okay, you will go in here, and what you do is you create a new network connection, and there are two options here. Azure Active Directory join, that's if you are connecting to a network or network where you want to join through using Azure Active Directory. You can use hybrid Active Directory. In that case, you will be using the on-prem Active Directory. Okay, so both options are there, but let's focus on what is the key thing here. First is we go into the subscription. You pick a resource group, and I'm going to pick up this one, and then you pick up your network. So you can pick up any network, you picked it up, and then you give it a name, um, and that's it. Okay? So that's it. And that's how it will create the connection. Since we already have a network connections, let's take a look at what is in that connection. So I have, so think of it. You may have dev boxes that are deployed in different regions, and they need to connect to their network for that particular region to get to your on-prem environment. Okay, so that's where, or there may be there may be applications that different teams are running in different VNets, and you need to have a VNet that you connect to. That's how you get to that. Okay. So this has the networking properties. Okay, what is network is connect to? Simple stuff, nothing fancy. It's just uh, a connection point to your networking infrastructure. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So now we have two things that we have done. We have created a dev center, and we have created a network connection. So what we're going to do now is let's go into the dev center and let's see what else we need to do. Okay. So first of all, we have created this shell, which is a dev center. Um, you know, the second thing we have done is we have created networking. So right now, for this dev center, we only have one network connection that is allowed. We can add other ones as well. So we have East US2, that connection we already created, and we can add that as well if you want. So here it is. And then this is the interesting part. You can add Azure Compute Gallery. So I have added a Compute Gallery If I try to add another one, it's going to ask me, select a gallery. Oh, by the way, if you don't have the user assigned identity set up, it's going to ask you to set up a user assigned identity for your dev center. Okay, so these are the galleries that I have. Let me see, uh, and I can, add that gallery as well. It will take a minute to do that. And what will happen is, let's say that I have set up the shared image gallery, or what we call it Azure Compute Gallery now. They have my sanctioned images, or the approved standardized images from my organization that I want to use as my image definition. Okay. As I said, you're going to have dev boxes, but you don't want to have um, any user deploy any image to the dev boxes. You want to have the images that are approved for your organization. That's what you want to deploy as dev boxes. So that's where it comes. So that's why, think of it, image definition. That's how you will create the dev box definition. So you go in here, and here you say, I want to create a new dev box definition, and basically it will say what are all the images. The thing is, I don't have images in my um, galleries. They were just test galleries. Otherwise, you will see those images there. But we're gonna start with a new definition. We're gonna call it, um, micro service. Oh, come on, I can't type it. Microservice dev. So this is Microsoft definition, and we are going to pick any image, and we are going to pick the latest version, and that's where. So right now these two options are available. You can have a 4-core vCPU with 16 GB RAM, or 8-core with 32 GB RAM. So let's pick 4-core. And by the way, right now we are not creating any VMs or dev boxes. We're just defining. We just think of it, we are defining the cookie cutter. The cookies haven't been baked yet. Okay. And that's the storage. What type of storage you need? You need 256. Let's pick 256. And that's how we will create that definition. So once that is done, the definition is created. It will take a second for image to pop up, but that's how you create. So that's the dev infra admin piece. Okay. Now comes the piece of the what is the dev admin is going to be doing. So what they will have access to projects. So once they will go into it, they will see, okay, these are the projects, and you can basically uh, dev infra admins can create projects as well and give access to dev admin. So this is a project that has been created. Creation is very simple. You define, as I said, the very boilerplate. You first of all attach to a particular dev center name, description, and you are done. So that's all there is to a project. And once you go into a project, you go in here, and that's where now you're going to be defining DevBox pools. Okay. So you go in here and you say, okay, I need to create DevBox pool, and let's uh, go in here. You will, and that's where think of it, rubber meets the road. You have Dev Infra admin have defined your definitions. They have defined what networks you can connect to. Now here you will call it, let's say UI pool 2, something like that. You will pick up or microservice pool, and you will pick up the definition, which is um, microservice dev definition. You will pick up a network connection. We have the East US2. You have what privilege the DevBox creator will have. You want to have local administrator, or you want to have the standard user. Okay. And that's the licensing. So basically, once you do that, it will ask you, do you have hybrid benefit? Because, and we will go into that in FAQ. So just ignore it for a second. But if it implies that you have Azure hybrid benefit licenses, hybrid use benefit licenses. With that, once you have that is done, you can confirm it, and that's pretty much it. And you will create it. I'm not going to click on the create button because it takes some time to create that dev pools. And let's see, let's go into, we already have a dev pool available, and we can go over there. But before we go, I want to show you what user access is required. So these are, let's go into a role assignment and let's create a role assignment. So first of all, as I said, you will have a dev center uh, admin, or I mean, that's going to be coming from your IT team. That's going to be on a subscription creating the dev center. Then you have dev center project admin. That's, you have to give somebody this access so they can manage that project and create pools into it. Okay. You can be owner of a subscription. It will not matter. You have to have access to this role, then you will be able to manage that project. So that's where that kind of a, I mean, yeah, I'm the owner of subscription. I should be able to create the, I mean, dev pools in the project. No, you can't. You have to be in that role. Okay. So that role is there. Then you have the DevBox user. So if anybody or a group of user, you need them to able to use DevBox, to access it, um, then you need to give them this access. They may be, as I said, they may have contributor access to a subscription. Okay, they will not be able to access DevBoxes. Just keep that in mind. So these are kind of role-based access permission that you should be aware of. Okay, let's come back here, come back to this project, and these are the DevX, these are the pools. In that particular one, we go to that pool and it will show you, okay, there is one box that is running. And that's where you can come in and you can see what is running, what is not. And you can, if you want, you can kind of turn off machines if somebody is kind of, you think that they are no longer. And important is it shows you definition and what network they are connected to. Okay, so now think of it that I am a DevBox user. I am trying to access my development machine. Okay, so this is the URL, devbox.microsoft.com. I will come here and I will sign in. Whatever my corporate sign in is, this is my test active directory. So I am just signing in here, my multi-factor auth. And with that, let me just get that. Uh, okay, let's click on verify. So, that's where I will see what dev boxes I have access to. Okay, give it 1 second. Since it's a demo, it's a bit, yeah. And I can add dev boxes. If I need to, let's say that I need dev boxes of this type with multiple, I can add more dev boxes. I have one dev box here that I can go and access. It's running. And what I can do is I can stop it. If I don't need it, I can delete it. So these are the dev box users. Okay. So once I go in, I can click on it. I can, if I don't have Windows desktop, it will ask me to do it. Otherwise, I can open it in Windows desktop. So let's see if I can open it. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's on a different screen. Let me just sign in. Sorry, let me just move it here. So this is how it's showing me. It's asking me for my user ID and password. And here is the desktop. I hope it comes up in a second. So this is the desktop that is coming up. Oh, hold on. Here it is. Sorry, guys. Yeah, here is the desktop. So as you can see, this is now running. And just to prove the point that it is, so think of it. This is my dev box that I have access to that is running in Azure and it is connected to a VNet. Okay. So just to prove the point, I have dropped a private endpoint in that VNet from a storage account. And I just want to show you, I think I was already testing it, so there's no surprise. But I just want to show you how I can just, if I do an NS lookup, I get that private endpoint, which proves that I am connected to that VNet since only there we have a private DNS zone that can, that will resolve it to a private endpoint. Okay. So any questions, folks? As I said, very simple, very powerful service allows you to create your developer machines for your organization, developer machines in the cloud, and you can create machines for different applications, things like that, and give access to your developers very quickly, very fast. Instead of days or weeks, it takes, in an hour or so. Or if you already have the definition, all the groundwork there, it can take minutes. Okay, so let's quickly go back to the slide deck. I want to show something here in the FAQ. So what is required? Okay. Um, Yes, you will need licenses. These are licenses required. I mean, you can have them separately or as a part of Microsoft 365 family of products. Okay, so just take a look at that. I have resources in the end as well to go over, how you want to access it. And just keep in mind, just like with every other Azure service, it's pay per use. So you will pay for whatever capacity that you are using. If you are running those machines for 2 hours, you pay for 2 hours. So let's say developers work from 8 to 5 and then they shut these machine off. You only pay from 8 to 5, like 9 hours and things like that. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Folks, any questions? Yeah, one more minute. Okay, so thank you everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Oh, just want to quick heads up. There won't be a session next week. Sorry, I should have said it in the beginning. There won't be a session next week. We have some internal meetings, and we won't be have a presenter, but we will come back week after. But there won't be any session next week. I will post it on the website as well. But just want to give everybody a heads up. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody had a wonderful rest of their um, afternoon, morning, and thank you.